Welcome to Prairie Land Partners Advantage Customer Combine Virtual Clinic for May 2021. I'm going to be talking on threshing and separation. My name's Heath Wallace. I'm from the Parts Department in Independence. I'll be your instructor today. What we're going to look at first is a video of the tri-stream rotor. And what we're going to do is watch this.
The crop is fed into the rotor in 3 streams. This ensures a very even transition from the horizontal flow of the accelerator to the axial flow of the rotor.
All right. So this next slide here is showing the feed accelerator. What we're looking at here with my little pointer is the wear strips. That's a wear item on here. You want to keep an eye on those. This over to the left, we have the conveyor chain, and what our yellow mark is signifying the material coming up through the feed accelerator and up into the rotor. As you notice here in the red, the material goes across the top of the stone trap. It is very important to dump that stone trap daily, if not twice a day, to keep these items that are in that stone trap from continuing on up into the feed accelerator and rotor area where they can cause a lot of damage and a lot of money. The feed accelerator and feeder house chain both have settings, low or high, and the sprocket here, the double sprocket on the STS series, 70 series, is right here on the right-hand side of the feeder house. And the feed accelerator, you adjust by this handle here on the front right-hand side of the combine. What we want to do is, guys that bale wheat straw, what we're wanting to do is recommend that you have the feeder house chain on the high sprocket setting, and the feed accelerator on low. What that's going to do for baling wheat straw is, you can see here, the longer straw is going to make for a better bale. So that feeder house chain on high, bringing that material up into the feed accelerator on low, is the feed accelerator is not going to rip that material from the feeder house chain, which is going to keep it long and good for baling. This picture here is showing the tri-stream crop flow. What we're doing is the 3 veins you can see of the crop coming up into the rotor. And for you guys that do your own maintenance, these areas right through here that I'm pointing at are wear items. The bolts also you need to keep an eye on, because those that's a high wear area. And let us know at the parts department if we can point you in the right direction to get you fixed up with those wear items there. What affects threshing results? Threshing RPM, making sure our rotor is set at the proper RPM, higher for wheat and small grains, a little bit slower for corn. Your concave components, the type of concave, making sure we have the right concaves in, making sure we have our concave inserts in these slots for wheat. Your concave adjustments, making sure your clearance is correct, your levelness, and zeroing of the concave. These items here, your threshing elements, your elephant ears in the front, your tines in the back. We want to make sure that the wear on them, the amount of wear, is not excessive, because if you're trying to zero your concave, you're not going to get the right levelness and zeroing if things are really worn out. Okay, the concave for maximum performance in wheat, John Deere recommends 3 small wire concaves in wheat and small grains. Because of the square edges, you get a little more threshing, and that's what you're wanting in those small grains. Concave cover bands. John Deere offers a kit that includes the cover bands and hardware. what you want to do is on small and large wire concaves, you want to install these two covers, install two of the covers in the two front thirds of the front concave, such as this. And on these, you can take off some of these cover sections if you're having trouble with grain not evenly positioning on the shoe grain augers. Okay, round bar concaves, which is going to be maximum performance in corn for you guys that are mainly corn and just have a little bit of wheat. You can, instead of purchasing all new concaves for just 100 or so acres of wheat, you can install these bands, which is going to give you an average performance in wheat. But that'll get you through your harvest there on wheat. Interrupter bars, shellborne stripper headers, just puts the heads of the wheat up into the combine. So what we're wanting to do is recommend these interrupter bars, which would go in the small wire concave and help thresh even more on the heads there. Okay, Prairie Land Partners recommendations. We're recommending this year a blended concave setup for wheat and coarse grains. In the front, we're recommending this new Condex Max Thresh. And what it is these are smaller concaves, so it takes two to equal one John Deere concave. And so that's in the front position. And then in the middle position, we're going to have our small wire. And then in the rear position, we're going to have a large wire or a small with every other wire removed. And that's going to get a lot more threshing for the wheat and the small grains. Okay, and now we're looking at the all new blended concave option for mainly your fall crops. And what we're wanting to do here is to only change one concave. And what we're wanting to do is leave this condex in the front. So in corn, you would have your round bar and round bar. So if we're going to move on to soybeans, what we're going to do is all we're going to do is change out the middle concave and leave the round bar in the back in soybeans and milo. So what we're trying to do is optimize time and downtime to where you're changing concaves. We want to keep your productivity up, and so this is a simple fix on the blended concave options. A&I concave options. A&I can save you a little bit of money. What we're looking at is your standard round bar for corn and soybeans, your narrow or small wire concave. Over here is your wide wire or large wire. And then this helical bar is kind of a competitor to the Condex concave that I showed in the previous slide. Electric threshing clearance adjustment system. What we're showing you this for is to make sure that when you do zero your concave up in the cab, that you double check this area to make sure that your concave and your combine are setting at the same spot, so that you're gonna optimize your performance there. Okay, A&I concave shock kit. The parts department can help you get fixed up with this. This is a new product. What it is on your tougher crops, when your combine is slugging, sometimes you can put this in and these springs will collapse. If a slug comes into the concave there, it'll collapse, let that slug through, and then it'll go back to the desired previous setting. And that's available at Prairie Land Parts Department, and give us a call if you need to look into that. Active concave isolation, which is a factory installed item. It has these big cylinders here, and what that's going to do is in tough threshing, You see up to 10% increase in capacity while maintaining the loss level out the back of the combine. So that is a factory installed only item. Shoe bed auger dividers. What we want to do in wheat, sorghum, and soybeans is keep these things up. And in corn, we want to keep them down. That way we distribute crop evenly on the chaffer. This next slide will show you an uneven chaffer, uneven crop on the distributed onto the chaffer, if you will. And what we see in these open spots is air is going to take the path of least resistance and not get the material other than grain cleaned out of there. Okay, this next slide is talking about the top cover vanes and the rifling of the material coming up into the threshing area. As you see the front vanes here, that grain is going to be moving fast and then start to slow here and then slow a little bit more and then towards the back. And what we're doing is slowing that down to get the best threshing and separating that we can. Power shutdown procedure. What we're wanting to do with that is determine the machine's performance, and kind of when it shuts off, we're taking a snapshot of what's going on with the machine. What we're looking to determine is the evenness of crop flow and then maximize machine's capacity. And you can take a look at that on Prairie Land's virtual learning website under power shutdown procedure, or it's in your operator's manual. Rotor losses in high yielding wheat. What we're wanting to do is take these spacers, great spacers from the top rail, and then insert them between the top rail and the separator grate. What that's going to do is give us a little more clearance to get that higher yielding wheat threshed out. On your class 6 and 7 series combines, folks will need to purchase the spacers for the rear grate, which is an H123 918. If you haven't already done that, we can fix you up at the parts department. The spacers must be used in corn and soybeans. We want to make sure we have them in there. Rotor losses in high yielding wheat, step 2. You should probably have that Condex Max thresh in the front, but we want to make sure you have your small wire concave in the middle and then a large wire in the rear, or small with every other wire removed. That's going to get you a little more threshing. Heavy duty separator grates on class 8 and 9, on class 8 and 9 only. What we're wanting to do is increase separation capacity. So we'd remove the 3 separator grates in the front row and insert this one piece frame. And what we want to do after that is the rice style heavy duty separator grates. We're wanting to put these interrupters every other slot, and then the standard finger in every other slot. And what we're going to do is these raised notches here, with the amount that coming through the throughput with those heavier machines, this is going to assist in separation. There's additional information from Prairie Land Virtual Learning website. There's way more than what I talked about today. Thank you for listening, and have a good day.